everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex and this is the Lily Library. So this is going to be the conclusion of my summer reading wrap-ups. These are the last 6 books that I read this summer, and then we will officially be entering into fall videos. Better late than never, they say. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the books. The first book that I'm going to talk about today is Shark Heart, a love story by Emily Hayback. This is a love story in many forms. The love of a married couple, the love that a mother has for her daughter, that her daughter has for her mother, and the love of found family. A majority of the story is told in 2 parts. The first part is the story of Wren and Lewis, who are a newly married couple, and they are coming to terms with Lewis's recent diagnosis that has him turning into a great white shark. The second part of the story is told through Angela, who is Wren's mother, and these 2 stories converge. I don't want to say anything else. I don't want to give anything else away, but I will say that this was an absolutely stunning book. When I tell you I sobbed reading this, and I cry, like I cry in books, I cry watching films. Occasionally I'll cry watching a commercial. Like I will cry, I'm a crier. But I was sobbing, heaving, overcome with emotion reading this book. It was so moving, just profoundly moving. I think the transformative disease that is in this book is symbolic of many things, but for me it really represented degenerative diseases. There is a very specific loss that happens with degenerative diseases where the person who is experiencing it has to cope with the idea of losing their identity, losing themselves. And then the loved ones around this person are just kind of left with a shell of who they once were. That is such a horrific thing to experience, and it's different than other kinds of grief. Really is heartbreaking to read. I want to read you a passage. This is from Wren and Lewis's part of the book. This is about romantic love and their marriage. And I loved this passage and I wanted to share it so you could get kind of an idea of what her writing is like. The surface of love was a feeling, but beyond this thin layer, there was a fathomless, winding maze of caverns offering many places to see and explore. Wren used to think romantic passion only grew more intense in the depths, but this belief was naive and impractical, a byproduct of a century-obsessed culture that equates love with longing and views ambivalence as a fatal flaw. Wren saw now how passion was delicate and temporary, a visitor feeling that would come and go. Feelings fled under pressure, feelings did not light the darkness. What remained strong in the deep, the hard times, was love as an effort, a doing, a conscious act of will. Soulmates like her and Lewis were not theoretical and found, they were tangible, built. I've been with my husband for 12 years, and that is marriage put in the most eloquent way that I've ever read. It's so interesting how these characters are transforming, but their love is also transforming in many different ways. This book is so good, and I don't know if everyone's gonna love it. It is a little peculiar, but I think if you focus on the message of the story, it will be a fulfilling reading experience. So yes, I love this book. Pick up this book. It was amazing. So every August, I try to read 2 books, 2 of my favorite books ever written. The first being Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. This is like my newer copy that I have. And then this is my original copy. I got it when I was 10. It's the movie tie-in cover, obviously. And you can see that I have written my name with gel pen on it, and I had a really cool Alex stamp that I just popped on there as well. This copy is basically falling apart from the amount of times that I've reread it. This book is very sentimental to me because I do feel like it was my introduction to literary fiction. I read this, like I said, when I was 10, and it dealt with issues that I really hadn't explored in fiction before, the main one being death and what it means to live a fulfilled life. It has stuck with me, and the writing has stuck with me. I realized what kind of books I love to read and how important writing was to me. I want to read the first paragraph of this book, and then one, you'll understand why I read it every summer, and two, you'll get a glimpse into why I said it was kind of an introduction into literary fiction for me. The first week of August hangs at the very top of the summer, the top of the livelong year, like the highest seat of a Ferris wheel when it pauses in its turning. The weeks that come before are only a climb from the balmy spring, and those that follow a drop to the chill of autumn. But the first week of August is motionless and hot. It is curiously silent too, with blank white dawns and glaring noons and sunsets smeared with too much color. Often at night, there is lightning, but it quivers all alone. There is no thunder, no relieving rain. These are strange and breathless days, the dog days, when people are led to do things they are sure to be sorry for after. I was reading like Captain Underpants books, and then reading this changed my brain chemistry. It was like finding a long lost friend. And then The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, another one of my favorite books ever written. This is my annotated copy. I also have my original copy that I read. I have many different copies of The Great Gatsby. I talk about that in my channel intro video about how my husband buys me all the different editions of this because it is such an important book to me. The Great Gatsby, obviously one of the most influential pieces of literature in the 20th century. It is the story of the great illusion of the American dream. Some of the best writing I will ever read, have ever read. Every single time I pick it up, I get something new out of it. I pick up something from the writing. It takes a very skilled writer to do that for the amount of times that I have reread the story. It's just a great American classic. But yeah, I want to do a more in-depth video on both of these novels. I think the time has passed this summer, so maybe next summer I will do it. But yes, some of my favorite books ever written. Try to reread them every year. Don't always do it, but got to it this year. So I was very happy to do that. Even after rereading Gatsby, I needed more. So I felt like it was finally time to pick up So We Read On: How the Great Gatsby Came to Be and Why It Endures by Maureen Corrigan. Maureen Corrigan is a book critic for NPR, and this is her love letter to The Great Gatsby. It really is exciting to read a book by someone who is just as moved by a piece of literature as you are, because they are clearly fangirling with you. You can feel that she has a deep appreciation for the text, not only the book itself, but Fitzgerald as a writer. How she wrote this was she kind of went through the different themes of the novel and then compared it to Fitzgerald's life. There was a lot more Fitzgerald than I was expecting. This also really talks about literary culture and how it impacts reception of a novel over time, what that looks like, which I thought was very fascinating. If you are a Great Gatsby fan, it is definitely worth a read. Not as much analysis as I anticipated, but obviously I still loved it. I also love when books about books are longer than the original source. I don't know why, it's just it speaks to me and how obsessive I get about certain things. So this was good. And then I just kept the train rolling and I decided to pick up Beautiful Villain by Rebecca Kinney. This is a Great Gatsby retelling, and I say retelling very loosely. This is a retelling in character names and certain plot points alone. It really doesn't have anything to do with the ideas of the original text, just kind of like the surface level plot. What drew me to this was that it was advertised as The Great Gatsby, but Gatsby is a vampire. Obviously, I was on board. I literally didn't read anything else, which I have to start doing. I need to start doing that. I thought this was going to be dark and gothic, but it wasn't. It was about young adults right after leaving college, and they're in the Hamptons. I think if you're given the opportunity to do a vampire retelling, just go the full Monty, right? Go all the way. This felt like it wanted to keep the original setting and it didn't want to commit fully to the vampire idea. I wasn't sold on any of it, to be quite honest. The Great Gatsby entered public domain in 2021, so we can expect more books like this in the future. It just didn't work for me. An example of the issues I had with the book, Daisy. She is, in the original text, to me, one of the villains. Now, upon my growth and maturity and reflection, I realized that she is also a victim of her time period and the patriarchal systems of control put in place by men like Tom Buchanan. But in this book, she's just a cute girl, right? She's just a girl. It kind of strips away all of that from her character. It's such an integral part of the book. That's what I mean when I say that it's really only Gatsby in names and plot points. Nick being gay, let me tell you, Nick is queer in the Great Gatsby canon of my mind. I was on board for that. If anyone knows of any good Gatsby retellings, let me know because I'm interested. So far, haven't found any. And then another book that is not summer related, but I did read in the summer, is Lore Olympus, Volume 6. This is a webtoon comic, extremely famous. Per usual, I was late to the hype, so I am reading it in the paperbacks. So I read Volume 6 over the summer. Volume 7 just came out, so I will be reading that in the month of October. It's a Hades and Persephone retelling told in like a modern landscape. The underworld is a corporate office. It also reads young, but it's more digestible to me. I don't know why. I don't have a ton to say about it. I think it's fun. I think it's sweet. And I do want to read the next volume. I think I can read them free online, but I'm basically a boomer when it comes to that and I cannot figure it out. I know that I accessed online comics at one point when I was trying to get through Saga and I got through all of the published volumes, but I have forgotten. So yeah, that is the end of my summer reading, my last 6 books, and we are in fall, baby. So expect that fall content coming. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.